You may be wondering about the CrossFit workouts, where they come from, the structure, the thought process, the science, the design behind them. In this series, I'm going to give you that insight behind the curtain. So tune in and take notes.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
As a CrossFit coach and writer of workout programming, I get so many questions from people about why this, why that, where do these workouts come from, what's the thought process behind it, what are we working towards? And as somebody who's written programming for 17 years, and I have my doctorate in physical therapy and movement science, movement dysfunction, movement correction, I've literally done in the area somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 CrossFit workouts. And so multiple like levels to my understanding and my background with this. And I found that it might be helpful if I actually did a video series where I systematically and surgically dissected the anatomy of a workout program to give more understanding of it and to kill some misconceptions, because there are so many of them when it comes to CrossFit workouts and CrossFit programming. And unfortunately, most CrossFit gyms, I believe, really miss the boat, because most CrossFit gyms and most functional fitness gyms out there really are winging it. Like, most of their programming is just whatever the person who's in charge of programming felt like writing for that day. And so they kind of just like throw something together, whatever sounds good, whatever feels good in that moment. And the program really is mostly random. And the thing is, when your program is random, you get random results. When your program is random, you cannot predictably, systematically, reliably produce certain results. And as I go into this series, there are so many things that can be discussed. But if you want a general overview of where our workout programming at CrossFit Edwardsville comes from, I've done a separate podcast episode where I talk about the microcycles, the mesocycles, the macrocycles, the thought process, the structure behind a lot of it. I'm just going to kind of take a different tact here in this series, because there are so many different ways that you can look at workout programming and analyze workout programming. Just to give you an idea, in preparation for this video series, I've got in the area of like 12 to 15 different frameworks that I thought of just by sitting down and making a list. And so what I'm talking about is, in each video of this series, we're going to look at a week's worth of programming through 3 separate lenses, 3 different ways of looking at a week's worth of CrossFit programming to see it, and hopefully will be a fresh and new way for you guys. If you're more interested in learning about why this strength, where does it come from, we're going to have answers for you in this series. What is the CrossFit methodology and philosophy? How does that play in with CrossFit programming? What are we training for? How do we train for it? How do we know if it's working or not? This series will hopefully give you some brand new ways to look at CrossFit programming and understand it through these different lenses. There are probably an infinite number of frameworks that you could use for looking at workout programming and evaluating workout programming. And so we're going to hit a bunch of them in this video series, but there's a very good chance that you'll have a way that you were wondering, a way that you were thinking about it, that I may not address in this series, because there are so many different ways. So if there's a way you want to hear about, tell me in the comments down below so that I can do a video on it for you. But in this specific first video of the series, we're going to look at it through 3 frameworks. GPP and 10 domains of fitness will be the first one. The second will be programming biases. i.e. training for something. And framework 3 today be baselines and retests, talking about the scientific method. So what I'm going to do is, to those of you guys who are actually watching on the video version, you'll have an actual physical visual. To those that don't, I'll verbally walk you through, but I'm going to be putting up on the screen a week's worth of CrossFit programming. So we actually look at it through these 3 separate lenses, because I think each one of these lenses has a lot to offer people in terms of understanding how these workouts come to life. What do they mean? Why do we do stuff the way that we do stuff? So let's get into it. Let's see, window. I'm going to go to this PDF. We're going to share that. Boom. So framework 1 is general physical preparedness and 10 domains of fitness. So first, let's define some things. GPP, or general physical preparedness, is a category of workout. CrossFit counts as that. CrossFit is a way of preparing and developing a well-rounded level of functional fitness that allows you to be generally pretty darn good at everything and not necessarily a specialist in anything. In CrossFit dogma, in CrossFit philosophy, they further qualify this, that if you want to be generally physically prepared for anything life can throw at you, you're looking at developing 10 domains of your fitness, or 10 qualities of fitness. The 10 are strength, flexibility, cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular stamina, speed and power, agility, coordination, balance, and accuracy. I'll say those again. Strength, flexibility, cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular stamina, speed and power, agility, coordination, balance, and accuracy. And so if you look at this week of programming, can we find those 10 domains of fitness addressed in here? Because I'm guessing that when I was going through that list of our CrossFit 10 domains of fitness, you would say to yourself, yes, I would like to have those qualities. Those qualities would benefit my life. If I'm strong, it benefits my life. If I'm flexible, it benefits my life. If I'm agile, I'm coordinated. There's so many intrinsically obvious benefits to having those qualities. And the CrossFit framework or perspective is that you need to address and develop all 10 of these domains of fitness in order to actually live your absolute best life, express your best fitness, be your best self, be generally physically prepared. So if we look at this week of programming, what we have is, this is a 5-day block of programming where we've got things that are clearly labeled strength and clearly labeled Metcon, i.e. categorically strength deadlifts, strength squats, strength clusters, for example. We've got stuff that is definitively labeled speed and power, like the power snatch. We've got other different exercises in here as well. Let's just say we wanted to look at this through the window of agility and coordination. What are we working on this week to improve agility and coordination? Because while many exercises will promote many domains of fitness, there are certain exercises that tend to promote them more, i.e., the outcome of doing this exercise gives you more of this 1 or 2 or 3 particular qualities of fitness. If we're looking for coordination and agility, we would say, okay, these double unders, this jump rope, that's something that disproportionately and more than others gives agility, coordination, balance, accuracy. Similarly, the power snatch that we do here, that is a more complex series of mini movements. It's a more complex symphony of movement done with a barbell. And so it promotes more agility, coordination, accuracy than some of the other exercises on here. If we're looking purely from a strength perspective, stuff like your deadlifts and your squats tend to promote that more. If we're looking for more cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular stamina, this workout, which is a 35-minute zone 2 biased workout, will tend to build more of that base of endurance, stamina, cardiorespiratory endurance than other pieces of this programming. You'll see aspects of speed and power with the Olympic lifts as well. And so in a week of programming, you're looking, are we actually addressing this general physical preparedness? That's one framework we can look at. A second framework we can look at, or what I call programming biases, or to put it in more like everyday terms, training for something. What I mean by this is you should always be training for something, or for a lot of people, it is very psychologically helpful to be training for something. So we go through different seasons of our programming at CrossFit Edwardsville. As of right now, we just hit Memorial Day here, and every Memorial Day, we repeat the Murph workout, which is for time, a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, another mile run, partition as needed. We train for that workout because it's a big, epic workout. It's a great workout. It's a fantastic way of advancing several qualities of fitness, but it's also the sort of thing you can't just go out and do. If you're a smart person, a smart exerciser, you'll prepare for Murph. So what we'll do in the 12 weeks leading up to Memorial Day is we'll actually train to improve our stamina, our quality of movement on running, pull-ups, push-ups, and air squats. So when we arrive to Memorial Day Murph, we're ready to do that workout in a safe way and hopefully set a personal best on it as well. After Murph is done, we go into the summer months where we do our preparation for the late summer liftoff. So our programming, while it will always be addressing 10 domains of fitness, it will bias a little bit more toward power lifts, deadlifts, squats, and bench press, which are the movements that'll be in the late summer liftoff. So while we're always developing a well-rounded general functional fitness capacity, our programming, our workouts will lean a little bit more in that direction of the pure powerlifting, pure strength stuff that we're training for in preparation for the late summer liftoff. After the late summer liftoff, we move into a season where, for example, we're preparing for the 12 days of thankfulness workout and then the 12 days of Christmas workout. And those workouts have certain movements that we have to train for and prepare for so we can perform at our best in those. So our programming will have a little bit of a bias toward the movements that we have to be great at for those. After the 12 days of Christmas, the CrossFit Open is about 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out. And so at that point, our programming will bias toward preparing us for the specific physical requirements, physical demands, physical asks of the CrossFit Open. After the CrossFit Open is done, we get back into a training cycle for Murph. So throughout the entirety of the year, we're going through these training blocks where we have a little bit of a leaning one way or the other. We're still achieving fitness across multiple planes, but because the human brain needs to have a vision or they lose interest, they lose passion. Scripture says there must be a vision or people perish. Training for something, having something to be an outcome, a purpose, is a very helpful way of keeping people on track with fitness. And so we do that with our programming. The third framework that I'm going to talk about in this episode of the podcast are baselines and retests. This plays into the previous point a little bit, and it plays into scientific method. when we're training in CrossFit, everything that we do is scientific method. It's observable, measurable, repeatable scientific data. So in order to test, does this programming work? Is what we're doing affecting the right outcome? Are we actually prepared for MRF? Do we perform at our best at MRF? Are we actually stronger when we get to the late summer liftoff? We set a baseline at the start of every training block or each year, and then we retest it at the end of the training block or each year. So for example, every year we retest MRF to see year to year, have we made progress on that? In the late summer liftoff, we can test, have we actually gotten stronger on the deadlift, the bench press, the squat relative to where we were 12 weeks prior? A lot of CrossFit programming is exceptionally random, not at CrossFit Edwardsville, but at other functional fitness gyms. And so they have a much less structured approach to this. Ours has always been, you should know what you're training for and when you're going to be tested on it so that you can prepare accordingly. In CrossFit world, that looks a lot of different ways. I mentioned the MRF benchmark workout. Sometimes it's repeating old CrossFit Open workouts this year to see how our fitness right now stacks up to previous years of CrossFit Open workouts. Have we increased our capacity on these workouts as benchmark tests? We also have tests of fitness. We tend to do Jason Khalipa and Tim Kennedy's 5 tests of fitness, max strict pull-ups, max push-ups, 1 mile run. We do those as ways of testing our capacity over time as well. And then we have exercise retests when we're retesting our power snatch max, we're retesting our overhead squat, our clean max, etc. We can use all of these baselines and retests as a way of giving numerical quality. It's quantifying the work that we're doing and the outcomes. Any intelligent program worth its salt is going to be willing to be scrutinized in this way and willing to actually publicize its data. So we do here at CrossFit Edwardsville, like we actually do baselines, retests, and then we're open with who got PRs on this, who did this work for, who actually reaped the rewards. And we can also cross-reference against who's been showing up the most, doing the most workouts. Are their results actually better than somebody who comes to our gym twice a week and then goes and just like kind of wings it at the Globo gym doing body weight or like, hypertrophy exercises? Whose prescription actually is more effective? We can test against that metric as well. So all of these frameworks, we got GPP, 10 domains of fitness, programming biases, training for something, and then baselines and retest, the scientific method. These are all different ways we can look at programming. And hopefully that's given you guys some insight into the workouts, generally speaking, here at CrossFit Edwardsville. In the next episode, we're going to talk about strength stuff specifically and look at our programming through the lens of strength definitions, strength components, and strength progressions over time. So if that interests you, don't miss that episode. For now, thanks for the gift of your time and your attention. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more useful tools and guidance, go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com and feel free to like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment sections down below. See you in the next episode.